What's the problem? The problem is there's a leadership gap. There is not enough diverse and minority leaders in position because there are systems involved that exclude them. What's the solution? The solution is us becoming undeniable in our leadership endeavors, becoming so thorough and so good as leaders they can no longer block us out. And that's what we're talking about today, how to become a complete leader. In psychology, there's a psychological phenomenon called the Pygmalion effect. What the Pygmalion effect states is this: if you increase expectations, innately you increase performance. And the inverse is true as well. If you decrease expectations, innately you decrease performance. This is the reason it's so imperative for us to maintain a strong and a positive sense of self. Because whatever you believe to be true is true. Here's what we're talking about today. Strategic communication, one of the most essential qualities of a leader. What that looks like, you got to know some words. You got to know some words. As a leader, it is your requirement to be able to thoroughly elucidate and articulate your vision. And if you cannot do that, you are not ready for leadership. You must be able to paint pictures with your visionary leadership style through your words. That's how we know we're ready for leadership. Next, we must speak some languages. Here, I'm not talking about cultural languages. I'm speaking about, now you're talking my language. Being able to relate to different styles of people, different styles of leaders. What that looks like. Sometimes we can use tough tonality for people who are more of a sensitive type. We can use sensitive tonality to somebody who's a more tenacious type. Understanding who we're talking to and what language to use. Essential in leadership. Next, you must know some sign language. 93% of communication, nonverbal. So what that means, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Tonality, body language, posture. It's speaking more than the words that we're speaking. Understanding that as our leadership. Elevator pitches. You will always be asked to introduce yourself. You should be prepared, right? Here's what to remember with our elevator pitches. Be brief, be bold, be memorable. Here's what that looks like. Be brief, 60 to 90 seconds. Be bold, be innovative, be fresh, be memorable, be impactful, be meaningful. Realize this, people are selfish. When you introduce yourself, all people are wondering, what's in it for me? You got to have an answer. Here's why you should listen to me. Here's why this is important to you. Okay? The elevator pitch answers these questions. Who you are, what you do, and why you do it. That's what we want to know. Right? Lastly, you always emphasize that why. This is why the work is so important. Okay? An example of the elevator pitch. My name is Breonna Taylor. I'm a junior at San Diego State, majoring in public health. I help lead peer career readiness programs on campus that support mental health and leadership developments in underserved student unions and communities. I do this because I've seen gaps in employment for minority graduates, and I want to be the reason why minority professionals have a seat at the table. Impeccable elevator pitch. Brief, bold, memorable. That's what we're looking for. Dressing for success. Dressing for success. What we want to do here is dress the part. If you're going for a professional look, you should be professional. If you want to be a doctor, an engineer, an architect, you should look the part. That's what we're talking about here, right? Your look is your reputation. Your look is your reputation, and consistency builds trust. That's how people perceive you with the way that they see you. How you dress is how people perceive you. Make sure that you're painting positive pictures. Master the art of perception. Master the art of perception with every style that you put on, every wardrobe. Ask yourself, what am I going for? What am I going for at this look? Make sure you have an answer. You go the extra mile in order to be remembered. Never skip the details. That looks like making sure that we're ironing our clothes before we go to the networking event. Ensuring that there isn't dirt under our nails before we go to the networking event. Never skipping the details, okay? Strategic thinking. Strategic thinking. Imperative in becoming a complete leader. How well we're able to think. What that looks like is these steps here. 3 steps. The first step is think. Second step, plan. And lastly, execute. What happens here, most leaders, they skip that second phase. They go straight from the thinking phase to the execution phase. And most of us are able to still find success there, going from the thinking stage to the execution stage. But the leaders that they write about, they're the leaders who never ever skip the second phase. Being able to master the planning stage, because that's what makes you a leader. Having the vision, crystallizing your plan, and then giving it to your team, to your peers, to your members. That's what leadership is. Strategic thinking. Right? We'll talk about this ghost model here. But lastly, as leaders, we must know it's not about what you know, but who you know. Being able to put the right people in position to ensure success. And if you're familiar with the Black Leadership Alliance Coalition, you know we take this a step further. It's not what you know, but it's who knows you. That's what we like to focus on. Making sure the right people know us. The ghost model. The G, goal. O, objective. S, strategy. T, tactics. Having the goal that we want to accomplish, having the objective that we need in order to reach our goal, knowing exactly how we're going to do it, and the strategies and the tactics that we'll use to do it. That's what makes leadership and success easy. The ghost model. Understanding exactly where we're going and how to get there. Lastly, team building. Because as leaders, we understand we cannot do it alone. So for leaders, it's a requirement for us to know how to put people in position to win. The first step, clearly elucidating your goal and your why. Because when times get hard, everybody begins to question why we're doing this. And as a leader, you must always point them back to the why. And have an impactful enough why to always keep everybody on board. Strong team building qualities. Place players to win. Doing the analysis behind the field to understand where everybody is most successful at, and then putting them in positions to go out there and be successful. You speak life into your team. That's what leaders do. Everybody messes up, but the leaders are always in position to lift as they climb. That's what leadership requires. Next, we have pass out trophies. pass out trophies. What that looks like is when people do good, you celebrate them. When you win, you don't just look at the win like it's regular, you celebrate it when people do good. That's how you continue and motivate, continue good behavior. Passing out trophies. That's what we're working on. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin this presentation with the thorough and clear understanding that there's a problem, there's a leadership gap, and the solution is us. Understanding that leadership looks like whatever we decided to. If today helped you in your leadership journey, in your career readiness journey, we would love to meet you. Visit blacleadership.org. We would love to get connected. Again, my name is TJ Harris. I am the Executive Director and founder of the Black Leadership Alliance Coalition. It's been a pleasure being with you today.